Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Ward. The Braves come back with a huge win over the Philadelphia Phillies, setting up Game 3 with Aaron Nola. The Braves have not announced who they are going to start in Game 3. Alex, I know you're going to say it, Bryce Elder. I still don't know who they're going to start. I mean, maybe they give him the rock. That would be some confidence in a guy who has looked very bad over his last 14 starts. But I don't know where you turn. I mean, listen, Kyle Wright is now out for not just the rest of this postseason. He's out for next season as well, as we learned prior to Game 1. He's not an option. Jesse Chavez isn't on the roster. So I don't know where they turn. I mean, it would either be Bryce Elder or A.J. Smith-Shawver. I doubt they go full bullpen game because hypothetically you lose on Game 3. You're not going to want to have to just have an exhausted bullpen for Game 4, even though you have Spencer Strider on the bump and you think he's going to give you a good outing. But you just don't want to go into a winner, not a winner take all, but an elimination game with your bullpen exhausted. So I highly doubt they just go out there and go balls to the wall with a bullpen game. So I think it has to be Bryce Elder or AJ Smith-Shawver. I know I would lean with AJ Smith-Shawver. That's a ballsy move in itself, going with a 20-year-old who hasn't been there. But Bryce Elder hasn't been there either. So it's really who you go with, who you think has the better mental makeup, and obviously the stuff leans towards AJ Smith-Shawver, but a lot less experience.
Yeah. See, I figured. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quickly, knowing the Braves, knowing how they operate, I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably going to be Bryce Elder. That's just where I would lean.
That's what I said to begin with, and I promise it has nothing to do with the belief that, in Bryce Elder. That's my point. I've been saying it for weeks that I just think Bryce Elder is going to be Game 3 because that's just how the Braves operate. They trust the whole body of work. They trust their guy, yada, yada, yada. Also, it makes a lot more sense for A.J. Smith-Shawver. If you're kind of, tandem those two guys, it makes a lot more sense to bring in A.J. Smith-Shawver, who has come out of the bullpen before, whereas Bryce Elder hasn't done that just yet. You get Bryce Elder the shortest leash absolutely possible. Then you bring A.J. Smith-Shawver in and you give him the shortest leash absolutely possible. They didn't tax their bullpen last night, so the guys should be rather fresh. I know Max Fried didn't go super deep.
They have an off
day. Yeah. So the bullpen should be, and I get you don't want to, burn them, tax them too bad for that.
They're going to be pretty much balls to the wall.
That's what I'm saying. If you can't pitch. Your bullpen can't get you through Game 3 and then still be ready to go in Game 4. I mean, you were never going to do anything in the postseason. I don't have a doubt about that. I just think it makes a lot more sense for Bryce Elder to get the start. He's been a starter all year. He's been more reliable than not. I mean, for the larger part of the season, he was a reliable pitcher up until the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star break, he just turned into a tomato can. But, I don't know who to expect. That's what I don't know if that's what I would do, but that's what I'm guessing the Braves are going to do is kind of pony A.J. Smith-Shawver and Bryce Elder with Elder getting the start. Because there's no doubt about it. I mean, A.J. Smith-Shawver's stuff is unreal. I mean, unreal. Frontline stuff. But, the experience factor, 20 years old, in the bank's going to be rocking. It's an SEC environment in there. How he's going to handle it, I don't know. We don't know the guy personally, but maybe he's just got stones. Maybe the guy's just for real, and he's ready to step up. I mean, AJ Minter said it last night, a lot of hearts and nuts. I mean, maybe AJ Smith-Shawver is that guy. Who knows?
I think the idea is that you said Bryce Elder starting the game. I don't see them bringing Bryce Elder in relief.
No shot.
He hasn't done that before. My biggest issue with is if they'll even pitch Bryce Elder in this game at all, because I do think they can go to mostly bullpen game. And I think if they can get 3 or 4 innings out of AJ Smith-Shawver, they'll be happy. Even if he gives up a run or two, they will be very happy with this scenario, because I think they know that there's the potential for them to get after Aaron Nola. These bats are going to have to wake up, and hopefully they can carry the momentum from the last game. They're not going to win this game 3-1. They might, but most likely they're going to have to put up 5, 6, 7 runs to win this game regardless. So my whole thing, and it's what I said in the last segment, is your momentum only lasts as much as your Game 3 starter. That Bryce Elder, man, gives up bombs. Like, he just gives up bombs. And if you start giving up bombs at CBP, that place is going to be crazy. And all of a sudden, the momentum that you just got there, it goes away very fast. AJ Smith-Shawver pitched fantastic in the simulated game. He pitched fantastic to end the year. He's got nasty stuff. It's really, to me, who do I trust more to go out there and throw 3 shutout innings? Bryce Elder or AJ Smith-Shawver? Because neither of them is going to go very far. Neither of them
No.
is going to go very far in this game. So to me, I like the idea of AJ Smith-Shawver and just trusting it. And I know you say the Braves value the whole body of work, but do they? I mean, if you look in the past, I mean, Kyle Wright was probably the worst major league pitcher, and they had no problem throwing him 5 innings in the World Series after he threw 7 innings in the majors the entire season. Like, they went to him because his stuff plays.
Yeah, but I think he was pretty much the only option at that point. I mean, they do have 2 options here, but I think Wright was the only option at that point.
I don't think I think they definitely didn't have to go to Kyle Wright.
Listen, I think you both have a point, and I still tend to think that the Braves, who they are, they're going to go to Bryce Elder. But again, this team is, not afraid to call on their youngsters in the biggest moments. We've seen it. They've Spencer Strider, Michael Harris, time and time again, they call on their young guys, and they have delivered in the past. Whether they are ready to do that on the biggest stage, I have no idea. I mean, that would be insane. If AJ Smith-Shawver, not that we're not expecting it, but it would still just be crazy if we're going to toss a 20-year-old out there, face Aaron Nola, grizzled vet, in the bank, game 3. Golly. Brian Snicker's got to have some big old cojones to do that.
I just don't know if it takes bigger cojones to start Bryce Elder.
You're right.
Like, it's not – you're picking between the lesser of 2 evils here, and I just feel like going with the guy who has stuff, who they haven't seen a lot too. That's another aspect. Like, you're talking about a guy, I don't even know if AJ, maybe he's pitched against the Phillies once in his career. I mean, he's only had 6 major league appearances. So picking up a guy's stuff, I mean, if he can get you 1, maybe 1.5 times through that order, like, you're happy. And then you go to the bullpen and you let it ride from there. So it's an interesting decision. We're probably not going to know until 3-4 hours before game time. Game 4, we do know. I guarantee it's going to be Ranger Suarez. Again, they're probably going to do a very similar thing that they did in game 1. Go early to that bullpen and go often to that bullpen. A lot of high-powered arms, and they pitched well in the postseason. Obviously, not amazing last night, but they really only gave up 1 homer to Austin Riley. Wheeler gave up the other 3 runs. Spencer Strider would toe the rubber. That's an exciting matchup. Him returning to the bank after what happened. Obviously, we saw in game 1, he's still a really dang good pitcher. Like, the postseason lights aren't too bright for him. He pitched fantastic. 1 run over 7 innings, 1 earned run over 7 innings. So feel confident in that matchup. You should be able to get the best of whoever they pitch in game 4. You definitely have the pitching advantage, and I trust Strider. And then obviously game 5, if it goes to that, is the epic matchup between Max Fried, who now has a start under his belt, and then you see Zach Wheeler for a second time. That, to me, if it gets to it, is going to be hold on to your britches. Try not to puke for 9 innings, because that is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's starting to set up, and I don't want to jump the gun by any means, but it just feels like it's that game 5 back in Atlanta on Saturday night. Our best versus their best. I mean, that's exactly what it seems like. And I have much more confidence than I did in Max Fried's first start than his second start. I mean, you heard him post-game. He had no complaints about the blister. It was all about the rust, and that makes a ton of sense. Your first live-action game in 18, 19 days was in a game 2, and I don't want to say a must-win game 2 because it wasn't an elimination game, but it almost felt like it was a must-win. He didn't have his best stuff. He grinded through it. I feel much more confident in a second start. And Spencer Strider shoved. I mean, I saw the pitching ninja, Rob Friedman. He does pitching scoring. And Spencer Strider, through the postseason thus far, had the 3rd best start. Zach Wheeler had the 2nd best last night. Spencer Strider's start in game 1 was the 3rd best start of any starting pitcher. He clearly did enough. The Braves offense just was sleeping. I expect that won't happen again in game 4. But, yeah, talk about, getting revenge. Spencer Strider in the bank if he shuts that place down.
I really just hope it gets to the point where we're up 2-1. I think Nola's gettable, guys. I really do.
I do,
I think Nola's gettable. I think they can put up a lot of runs on him. We'll see. I mean, obviously, like I said, both of these guys have gotten the best. Nola's had some great postseason performances. He's had some stinkers as well. If you can hand the ball to Strider with a chance to eliminate the Phillies in Citizens Bank Ballpark, I'm taking the Braves all day of the week, and I think he's going to get it done. And I've said that Spencer Strider is going to be the MVP of this series. He pitched great in game 1. Unfortunately, you lose, but I feel very confident in that game 4. I know Philly fans probably feel confident as well. That's what makes it such an intriguing matchup. But coming up after the break, we are going to talk some Heisman talk, give our Heisman rankings entering week 7 of the college football season.